What was the name of your little lawn mowing company?
The Lawn Wranglers?
Welcome to the Wrangler Roundup, episode 4. I'm Brad Scott and my co-host Larry O'Neill, and we're here with Tony Balasco from the Trail Enthusiasts.
For Burning River.
For the Trail Enthusiasts for Burning River.
Yeah, it's their whole name.
And Tony is a husband and a father, a veteran of the U.S. Army. He's an avid trail runner, a grandfather, a 3-time finisher of the Burning River 100, and one time he ran under 24 hours. And he's also one of the founders of the largest trail and ultra running group in Northeast Ohio. Tony, we have not made this easy to schedule on you. We've been switching it up a lot, but we're here. We're doing it.
We're here. We made it. Finally.
So thanks for being on the show.
Oh,
First question. Springtime. This was the first day that it felt like spring. I mean, just had that.
what was it? The thunderstorm?
The
and the lightning?
thunderstorm, and then the sun came out, and everything's in full bloom. It seems. And the allergies are, of course, going crazy. But speaking of spring, it's the best time of the year to be a trail runner. Would you say?
No, every day is best time of the year to be a trail runner. We run every weekend of the year, and we enjoy all the seasons. You know, you can go on these trails, you know, every couple of months, and they look different. Something has changed. So, you know, running trails is something you can do year round and enjoy every moment of it.
Yeah, we see your posts, I mean, all the time. It'll be, you know, just the worst weather in the world, and you guys are out there on a Saturday or Sunday.
We did the run this past winter. It was like 10 below zero when we started. And we had a bunch of people too, so it's not like people are shy about coming out. You know, so
I think I remember that was like the end of January, probably. It was.
yeah, we had several days. It was really cool.
Yeah.
We had to. I don't know. People thought they were getting frostbite. My hands were just totally.
Well, tell us about your Bluebell run this morning.
Well, the Bluebell Run has become a tradition. You know, we've been doing this for several years now, and it's a wide area in around Furnace Run by the Evercover Bridge. And we do this when the bluebells are in bloom. And this morning was the season for this year, and we went there, and you know, unfortunately it rained on us, and it was thundering and stormy for a while, so it kind of delayed us a little bit, but we made it down there, and lots of water in the trails, but everybody had fun. We ran into salamanders, toads, and lots of bluebells, and met some new people, new runners came out, some ladies came out first time for a trail run. It was great.
How many did you have out this morning?
I want to say about 17.
Nice.
For a
Don't remember
stormy
exactly.
morning, yeah, that's quite a bit.
Nobody left, you know. We sat in the cars, and you know, it was loud thunder and so on. So we just waited, and as soon as it kind of abated a little bit, we started, got our pictures, and kept going. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, where they say there's no bad weather, just bad gear, right?
Yeah, and we're gonna do it again next week. So you guys are welcome to join, because we had some people that couldn't attend today because I don't know if you know about that race up north in Kirkland, the Yacht Run 24, the 24-hour race, and around the 1 mile loop and see how many miles you can cover. in
I
24
saw some
miles.
runners on Strava that did that, yeah.
Yeah, we had about 7 to 9 people in our group that ran up there, and 5 of them placed in the top 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the winning distance for 24 hours?
110 miles. Matt Palmer won it. You know, I've known this kid for years. He's been very dedicated. You know, he's gotten better and better. I was surprised that he won it because there were some people that were favored.
Oh,
He wasn't even mentioned.
Huh?
Yeah, but he
Wow.
won it. 110 in 24 hours. Yeah, that's great.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So, Tony, give us some of your background. Did you grow up in Ohio?
No, I was born and raised in Italy. I came here when I was 17, so I spent about a year and a half going through school in Cuyahoga Falls, learning English. And when I got done with that, I joined the military. I went into the Army and spent 3 years in the military. I came out and went to college, got my degree, I went back in the military for 4 more years. did a variety of things in the military and started with combat medic, became a dental assistant, I did x-rays and I did oral hygiene and eventually ended up in Germany running a dental clinic.
Oh, wow.
Then when I came out, I started pre-med here at NYU and I couldn't keep my grades up enough to get into dental school, so I changed my major and went into psychology, so I got a degree in psychology.
Okay.
And when I went back in the military, I ended up in artillery and I spent some time doing some psychiatric counseling at Fort Hood in Texas.
Yeah.
And then they sent me to Germany again, and when I got there, I did mostly administrative work. 1980, I came out and moved to Frederick, Maryland, which is about 50 miles from Washington.
Yeah.
And went to school there and got electronics diplomas. I was trained in computer equipment. Became a field engineer for Burroughs, which is no longer around, but it was a competitor of IBM back then. And I got tired of driving around the Beltway in Washington, so I started my own business, opened a restaurant with my sister, and that didn't do so well. So I started a refrigeration company. I got trained in refrigeration and I was doing work all over Baltimore and Washington and Northern Virginia, Maryland and so on. And then in '89 we decided to move back here because all our relatives were here. And started all over again and did a variety of things here. Started several businesses and some worked, some didn't. Eventually I ended up with a HVAC company. I built some homes, I did some rehab. I played with a real estate agency for a while. I was an agent. And then I got my MBA here at NYU when I got into finance, and I did day trading and for stocks and so on, and then I did some currencies trading. Like I was telling you earlier, I taught some courses here at NYU, and then a few years ago I retired from that, and now I'm playing accountant for my son's practices, do all his payroll, taxes, and 401k and so on. So
Tony, is there anything you haven't done? That's the question.
I've never been an administrator because I'm not very religious.
Boy, man, compared to you, my life sounds boring. I've been stuck in the same classroom for 30 years.
Dentist.
What did I miss?
I feel bad for you guys. I do that.
You said dentist and then psychology.
Heating and air conditioning, I heard, right? Refrigeration. Yeah.
Heating, air conditioning, finance, stock market. Wow.
And
Wow.
And now running.
trail runner.
Yeah.
Which is a question I have. I know in Europe, at the high schools, they don't have, in American high schools, we have track team, football team, but in Europe it's clubs, is that right?
Yeah.
So did
Yeah,
you do
running
youth
clubs,
running
soccer
or?
clubs? No, I never did. Never ran. I spent a lot of time in the mountains. I mean, it's a going joke here in our group that I used to be a shepherd. You know, so sheep is a major team that flows through my posts a lot and talk about sheep a lot. I spent 5 years in boarding schools. I had to earn my keep there. You know, it was through academics that I got accepted there because there were a bunch of rich kids there that got in there, and I was always waiting to get in because of academics. I got tired of that, and I didn't want to go to school anymore. So my mom handed me a little flock of sheep and said, "Here," you know. And then, fortunately, you know, we came here, so my life changed again. Yeah.
So what age did you get into running on a regular basis?
I was kind of forced on me when I was in the military in Germany. Somebody at the upper hands of the Pentagon decided that the military was not very fit, and they were totally right. So they came up with this program, you know, they call it PT training, that we had to run 2 miles every morning, information combat boots, and, you know, after doing some calisthenics. So we kind of forced into it, and after a while, you know, first it was hard because if you never run, you know, 2 miles is a long way. You know, everything is hard if you've never done it. But then I figured out that I was starting to enjoy it, and then we lived in this little German town called Hamhofen. It was a suburb of Nuremberg. And in the evening after work, I would go in the woods and run on my own, you know, and I really enjoyed it. So I stayed with that, you know, I would get away from it in the winter months. But then I would go back, you know, April, something like that, when the weather was more conducive to running. just because I liked it, and just to shed some of the weight to pick up during the winter months. So that's all I was doing for years. I mean, my longest runs were like 6 miles for years until I decided to run a marathon. You have contact with runners and you find out what people are doing, and you get this bug planted in your mind. And eventually I gravitated to doing a marathon after doing some 10Ks and 5Ks.
How old were you then?
This was a Towpath marathon, so it must have been around, say about 97. No, not 203, 204, something like that. The records are not even there. They weren't even keeping them there. If you go back now, it goes all back to about 2010 for that marathon. But that was my first one.
So you were in your 40s?
Yeah, well into my 40s, yeah. So I'm kind of a late bloomer, and a lot of people were saying I was doing so well because I did not ruin my body when I was young.
Yeah, there's some truth there.
Yeah, there is.
Did that start to become kind of like, after you ran the first marathon, did the endurance aspect of it start to appeal to you at all, and then you started to run longer distances?
I signed up for a marathon a year, and I would do an occasional 5K and a 10K. I used to run the children's, what was the 5K all the time in June, support the children. Some other 10Ks, I would do the firecracker run in Stowe. Just things like that, just to stay fit. But I would sign up for a fall marathon just so it would motivate me to go out and keep working at it.
Gotta have something on the calendar.
Yeah,
right?
just something to keep you getting out of bed and going to run.
Yeah, keep the goal
motivated. Yeah.
So where does the road transition into the trail? So how did that happen?
It was kind of an accident. Steve Goodale?
I do, yes.
Yeah, he's got a group. They run Saturday morning at 8 o'clock in Peninsula. And I was running with this guy. We were training for a marathon, and he said, well, let's meet this group Saturday morning at the Lock 29 in Peninsula. So I thought, well, we're going to run the Towpath. So I show up, and this guy doesn't show up. And these runners are showing up, and you can tell, good fit runners, just the way they walk, the way they move, They look like stalking lions, So I was wondering what I was getting into, So I asked one of them, I said, how fast you guys around? I said, we do about 9-minute miles. And I thought, shit, I can hang with these guys,
Yeah.
No problem. Well, Steve showed up, and we got on the road and went by the golf course immediately. We were under the bridge and picked up Valley Trail, and when it was still open along the Cowder River there. And he took us a salt run, first experience on trails.
Salt run.
The salt run is a tough one.
It is.
There's some punchy hills there.
Yeah, so I tried to stay with those guys. Of course, I was way behind, and they had to wait for me. And somebody was saying, well, you know where you are? I said, no, I've never been in these trails,
Yeah.
So, they waited for me up at the ledges. And I made it out and found that I enjoyed it so much. The following weekend, I printed myself a map of that area, and I went out there on my own. And it was kind of a foggy morning, misty, got a little bit of drizzle going on. There was nobody out there. It was like being in the scene of Lord of the Rings for me. It was that kind of experience. I just enjoyed it so much. And I did a lot of that after that, just going out on my own, exploring trails, just get to know trails, because somebody needs to guide these people on these trails, because most of them had no idea about these trails.
And so you're probably in your early 50s at this point, or?
This was right around 2012. Yeah.
Do you remember your first trail race?
Yeah, I do. It was the Fool's 50K. Somehow I got talked into it. I was running with this guy from Stowe, Kevin Tubbs, and he didn't like running inside, because before I started running with him in the wintertime, I would migrate to, first I was at Life Center Plus in Hudson, running there around their track, and then I started going to the natatorium in Cuyahoga Falls. I was running around there, so I met a lot of people inside, but Kevin didn't like to run inside, so he kind of forced me to run outside in the winter months, and I kind of developed an appreciation for being out year-round, and it worked out quite well. So I ran that race with him, and it was terrible. It was a bad experience. It was really muddy. Sure, it took me 7.5 hours to finish that thing, you know?
It's in April too, right? That just
Yeah,
happened,
yeah,
right?
yeah. You go around twice, and I remember that Pine Grove Trail. What a mess! I mean, people were running in the woods because there was so much mud on the trail.
Yeah, is it through Camp Manitowoc and that area? Or the
No, it's
Kendall
Manitowoc
Ledges?
now. Yeah, but before it used to be
Kendall Ledges.
Yeah, Ledges and
Pine
Pine
Grove
Grove
area.
and South Run and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah, cross country.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was the original one.
yeah, I couldn't.
So evidently it didn't discourage you. You came
Said
back.
no.
Well, I was running with Kevin, and we were pretty dedicated. That's the beauty of having somebody to run with. You become accountable, and
Yes.
you do things you would never do on your own. You know,
Absolutely.
like getting out of bed in the morning and going out there because somebody's waiting for you.
That's the beauty of a group.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I highly recommend running with others because of that. Yeah.
So, does that? We were going to ask too about how you learned about ultra marathons. Your first one was Fool's 50K. It was your first ultra. How
Right.
did you learn about like the idea that people run 100 miles in one race?
I was at an auditorium, during the winter months, and I was running around the track, until I turned blue in the face, and people called me the Energizer Bunny, So I met a lot of people there, and somebody started pointing out this guy. His name was Cody Knapp. Okay, he moved to Florida, but sometimes he comes back. And I was told this guy runs 100 miles, and I thought, what? Why the hell can anybody do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I met him, and very unassuming guy, very nice guy, and I thought, oh, there's nothing special about this guy. He's a human being. He's like the rest of us.
Yeah, sure.
So you just get this bug in your mind that there are people out there doing 100 miles, and people didn't know about this stuff. Everybody, Gaga and Google over a marathon. These people are doing that, and Kevin and I started running. What was that? The Fool's 50K course, and became a favorite of ours. We go to Happy Days, and we would do one loop of it, which was like 15.5 miles, 15.7, something like that. And we would say at the end of that run, how the hell does anybody do this twice? That's what it was like initially. Yeah. But we stuck with it, and eventually we signed up for the next race, which was the Green Jewel. And we took a bus from Brecksville to Rocky River, and somebody was sitting behind us. We started talking. It was this young kid, and it was Taylor. Taylor Sowers. That's how I met him.
Yeah.
And then we started the race in Rocky River and ran the Valley Parkway to Brecksville, and I caught up to him. He was walking up some of these hills on the Parkway. And stayed with him for a while. We talked and so on, and I finished ahead of him. Yeah.
Bragging rights there.
Yeah, Taylor.
And Taylor is a heck of a runner.
He is.
Yeah. And he's, 30 years your junior? Probably more.
Oh, he was 26 back then.
What is he now, 32, 33?
Yeah, not more.
He's still
not
just
much
a
more
pup.
than that. He
Yeah.
is, yeah. But, then after that, he started coming up from North Canton and brought some of the people that he knew from then to run with us, and so we kind of developed, 5 to 6, 7 people would be running, including 2 or 3 of my friends, and he signed up for the 50-miler, Burning River, and he kept bugging me about running it with him. He kept bugging me. I just didn't want to do anything. It's crazy. I can't do 50 miles, and then. A couple of weeks before the race, finally talked me into it, and I signed up for it. And
A few weeks before the race?
Yeah, 2 weeks before. Yeah, I signed up for it, and we started, and he did his own race and so on. Eventually, I caught him on the Buckeye Trail. He was struggling, and I passed him. And that was one of my worst races ever. I mean, I didn't know anything about running long distance like that. And I got to Brecksville, and my legs cramped up. I fell going down the hill because I couldn't bend my legs anymore. They were all cramped up. And I had a pacer at that point, one of the kids that ran with us. And I wanted to quit, but I'm hard-headed. So I said, well, I'll try to walk it off. And I was walking, and this guy that I passed during the race, he came up to me and said, well, what's wrong? I said, I'm all cramped up. And he reached in his baggie and handed me about 10 of these capsules. It says, here, take these, Endurolites,
Yeah.
Yeah. I said, what the hell are these? Well, you know, it's salt and stuff like that you need, you know, it's electrolytes. So I took them and I kept walking, got back to the aid station. There was a loop around some of the trails there in Brecksville, and I got some more of those, took some more, walked some more. I walked a total of about 6 miles, and my legs finally started to feel less crampy. And so I said to Ryan Keynes was pacing me at that point, let's try running. You know? So as soon as I started, I took 10 paces and I fell on this gravelly road. It was all bumpy and so on. So I tore up my knees, my hands, my forehead. I was bleeding from everything.
Yeah.
And I got totally so pissed off. And then I said, okay, let's go run. You know, we ran the rest of the way. And believe it or not, somehow I ended up winning the 60 and over.
Wow.
First place. But it took me 11 and a half hours, you know. It's quite a while. But yeah,
That's incredible.
But then I was waiting for Taylor to finish. And I sat there and I seen, you know, people coming in, finishing up, and eventually Taylor came and saw his relatives, his family, and came and sat down with me on the side there, and I felt like I could have run some more, you know. And this crazy idea came into my mind. I said, why don't we run 100 miles next year?
If you can do a 50, you can do a 100, right?
Yeah.
Double it up.
Yeah.
So did you beat Taylor at that race as
Yeah, I
well?
did. Yeah.
So that's twice.
Yeah. And
Twice, Taylor.
hear that, Taylor? Yeah. So I asked him to set up a group on Facebook. The idea was that, you know, we don't know anything about running these ultras. We need to set up a group and try to invite some of these veterans of 100 miler, and maybe we can learn from them.
Yeah.
So we don't need to learn the hard way. And so he did. He set up the group on Facebook, and, you know, he picked the name, and I thought it was a pretty dorky name, but, you know.
Trail. Let's say this. The technical name, Trail Enthusiast
Or
for
Burning
the
River.
Burning River.
Yeah.
Because I always just say the Trail Enthusiast.
Well, the idea was.
That's my good friend Adil, who runs with you sometimes.
Who?
Says
Adil.
Adil.
Yeah. Adil and Adam. Yeah, they're running
Yeah,
those.
Adil and Adam are both. They love it. Hey, Adam's trying to get us out there. Now that my schedule is starting to lighten up, I definitely want to Saturdays. Maybe that would be a good day.
Well, you guys ought to try to join us. You know.
Yeah.
Trail running is great. It's quite an experience.
Yeah, we always do a relay team, but I'd love to get out there and just make it a habit.
Yeah. Adam said you had some problems one time. You passed out or something.
It's a long story. I'll tell you after the show. Don't want to relive that one. But speaking of trail, Anthony, so what would you say is the main difference for you, and not good or bad or better or worse, between road running and trail running?
Well, the scenery is a lot better. The road running is faster because of the nature of the beast, particularly around here. You know, a lot of these marathons are sort of flat. Trails, most of the trails that I run on, you know, have lots of hills, so it's a little bit different. You spend a lot of time sometimes on your own. You know, like the 100 miler. You know, it's possible you spend a couple hours all by yourself in the middle of the woods at night. You know, so the only people you see is around the aid stations, and sometimes an occasional runner here and there. You know, these marathons are highly publicized by the cities. You know, and you have lots of people all over the streets just cheering you on. So there is that. The awards are different. The marathons, they award age groups, 1, 2, 3 winners and so on, and they have lots of age groups. You get into these trail ultra races, and they have like top 5 winners, sometimes top 3, and they do awards for male and female winners of masters, you know, 40 to 50, and grandmasters 50 and over. And there's only one. You know, because I come second place to the same guy 3 times at Burning River. I never got an award. You know, yeah, because of that. So there is something to be said against that. People like to be recognized, and even if you come third, you know, it's nice to get an award so you can put it on your wall at home and show your kids and so on and brag about what you did. Yeah.
Is there any appeal to the problem-solving aspect of trail running?
Trail running is a continuous problem-solving process. I mean, you constantly have to. Initially, when you start doing trails, it's quite a learning process, and you fall a lot. Your body needs to learn to run it, and your mind needs to learn to run trails. And one of the things that you eventually totally recognize as necessary, you got to keep your eyes on the ground at all times. You know, you see some beautiful spots and so on, and unfortunately you have to miss a lot of it because the terrain can be quite treacherous and you can get hurt seriously. So there is that. So you constantly analyze the ground in front of you and decide which way to jump, how high, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a continuous planning process every step of the way. Yeah. So it's pretty different from the flat surface of a road marathon. Yeah.
What about figuring out like cramping and how to fuel properly and all that stuff? Is that something that you liked figuring out?
I got it all figured out. You know, we teach that to our group. You know, it's totally necessary. You're not going to finish. You know, a lot of people just fall apart because of cramps and because of their stomach can't tolerate food anymore. You know, all kinds of issues. But you got to replace what you lose, and you lose so many things. You know, some of them are recognized, like magnesium, potassium, salt. Obviously, you know, everybody eats salt at these races. You know, you have to drink a lot of water before you get dehydrated, before you need to do that. Then you need to eat. I mean, I think one of your questions is going to be your pre-race meal. You know, you can't have a pre-race meal in the evening before that's going to sustain you for long. You know that, you know, within 45 minutes, whatever you have is all gone. So you have to anticipate all that, and every aid station you got to start nibbling immediately, and then, you know, you eat and you eat until your stomach doesn't want it anymore. You get to 75, 80 miles in, even water sounds horrible, you know, but you need it. You know, without that, you're done. You're finished. So,
do you have a favorite thing to eat at the aid stations? Is there something you look
I
forward
try to stick with wet stuff like watermelon, slices of orange, a piece of banana here and there. You know, I tried peanut butter and jelly. A lot of people eat that, and you're so dehydrated, and your mouth is dry and kind of sticks to your throat. You know, I don't know.
It's just to get this little like dried out, crusty on top of it too. It's been sitting up there all day. So
you know, so I like fruits. You know,
that makes sense.
Throw a lot of fruits in. What I do, I get to the aid station and my bottles or somebody to fill them up with water, and I usually carry a hat for these hundreds, and I just grab fruits and put them in the hat. The bottles go back in my vest, and I walk while I'm eating what I have in my hat.
Yeah, unlike a road race where you're really running for time and you're just popping in gels, salt tabs. In a trail run, a long 50 mile or whatever, you can kind of just pause and enjoy, like eat like food, you know?
Yeah.
It's not the gels and all that stuff.
Yeah, when you can, we try to teach people to try to eat when you're going uphill or walking, you know, but it depends where the aid stations are. I mean, if you have your own stuff with you, that's what you do. I do take gels. I try to take one for every five miles. Yeah, I go through all kinds of stuff. You start with the basic goo that everybody knows. And I went to Rocktain. I tried the Tailwind powder mixed with the drink. And it all nauseates you. Eventually, you know, your body gets so tired of it and you feel like you're gonna get sick if you keep eating it. So it's good enough for about 30, 40 miles. After that, you better eat food.
Like solid food.
Yeah.
Sometimes some warm food.
Yeah. A lot of people fall apart around 60 miles. You know, they get, for some reason, around 60 miles, you see a lot of people on the side throwing up. And that can be the beginning of the end, because without food, you're not going to finish.
Yeah. It's like an eating contest as much as it is a running contest.
It's quite a plan. You know, there's a lot more that goes into one of those, and that's just, you can run a marathon with no water, no food, no nothing, and you can finish it. You cannot do that with a 100 mile.
So eventually you did figure out 100 milers enough to run under 24 hours. Do you want to, can you tell us about that race? Was that like a highlight for you, or was that a goal?
No, it
just kind of happened?
No goals, you know, just a result of months of training with the right people. You know, I spent a lot of months chasing Chris Riccardi, on these trails. The guy was fast, and he made all of us better. You know, but you know, we would run ungodly amounts of trails. And we did 40 miles, and then in June we did 50 miles, to a couple of them.
Just training runs, not races?
Training runs on Saturday, and we'd go right back Sunday morning and do another 15 to 20 miles running tired, because it serves you the later stages of the 100 mile. And our peak run was 100K.
Wow.
64 miles, and went back the next day. I mean, Tim Crow and I stopped at 60 miles. I just couldn't take it anymore. Chris Riccardi, ran for a few more. Yeah, and there were 6 of us back then. It was me, Tim Crow, Chris Riccardi, Bob Schmaltz, Matthew Lott, and Kevin Lutzenhauser. And we were the ones that stuck to the end about just about every run we did. Everybody else would drop off at different distances. And we were in nights, we were in days, and people thought we were crazy. They called us the Cuyahoga Cowboys. There's a group in Flagstaff that called the Cowboys out there. They run trails with.
How old were you at this time?
This was 2018. I was 67.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tony, how old are you now?
I'm going to be 71 in July.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And how many miles do you average on a Saturday? How about on a weekend, Saturday, Sunday combined?
It depends where we are with the trainings. The whole group is structured, so we have a training program to get you ready to run the Burning River 100 miler. So we start the training in March, and we start with marathon, and then we go to 50 Ks, and we do the 40 milers in May, the 50 milers in June. And anybody who wants to do that 60 miler, we do that 3 weeks before the race. And the rest of the year after the race, we maintain. Maintenance to us is like running a marathon on Saturday, another 10 to 15 miles on Sunday.
Yeah.
Just for maintenance.
Just for maintenance.
That's impressive. Yeah.
But what it does is keeps people ready to go run a 50K anytime they want.
Yeah.
So it keeps you fit.
Yeah. 50K probably seems like after doing 100 miles, 50K probably seems like, that's like a nice distance to just get out and do a hard
people
effort.
used to make comments about us, a marathon is like a warm-up, you guys, now you're ready to run. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
So you told us a little bit kind of about how you and Taylor had sort of started this Facebook group to get these long runs going. I guess I'm still kind of curious, like when did it really start to take off? You have over 1,000 members in the Facebook group right now.
Yeah, we're close to 1,400 right now.
Yeah, so can you just kind of tell us how that has
How many
grown?
members now?
Close to 1,400, yeah.
Wow.
Every week we pick up, 10 to 15 people, seems like. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's boomeranged, and it's just exploding. And I have Facebook to thank. You guys want to know how we did all this? Without social media, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, the ultra running was there before we showed up with this group, but nobody knew about it. There was a close-knit group of people in the area. I called that the last generation, where we are like the new generation is ultra running, what we're doing now. So those people, I know a lot of them, the Connie Gardners, the World Dave Peterman, and so on. Some others, they did some amazing things on their own, but nobody knew about it. I mean, it's just starting to come to the light now. I mean, you look at the Olympics, they still don't have an ultramarathon in there. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're right. 50K is like a walk run, isn't it? Or something? Or no, it's speed walking, I think.
Yeah, they have curling, they have all kinds of other strange things, maybe egg tossing and so on, but there's no 100 miler. I would love to see that in the Olympics. Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to see endurance, man.
Yeah.
People are doing it. 200 miles. We have a bunch of people in our group that run 200 milers. I know people that have done the Iditarod back and forth, self-supported. 700.
Right?
Well, there's different distances, 350, like 700 miles. Now they have 1,000 miler.
Yeah. I think that 250 mile race is going to happen soon too. And you mentioned, isn't it in Arizona? The Cocodona 250?
I don't know. There are so many of them. I mean, there's no lack of races now. They're all over the world too. One of our guys, Randy Whitmer, he's run the Tahoe 200 a couple of times.
Yeah.
Well,
So I'd have to imagine it's a fair amount of work to maintain the group. You said social media has definitely helped and it's kind of taken off on its own. What keeps your motivation going to continue putting the effort in?
well, I think above all things is to see these people come in tentative, kind of doubting themselves about trail running and so on. And before you know it, these people are succeeding. They're running the first 50K. They're winning, they're placing, they're doing the 50 miler, they're doing the 100 miler. And I just see and you see these people change, because when you do this stuff, it changes your life. It's not just running, it's not just for your health. It does a world of good for your self-confidence. You can imagine what it feels like, I can run 100 miles, I mean, just think what that does for your confidence level. I've seen lots of people just grow psychologically and physically. It does change you physically as well. I mean, it changes your lungs, your lung capacity, your heart gets bigger. It does a lot of good stuff for you. I mean, ever since I've been doing this ultra running, I never got sick, other than my heart. But,
Well, you look like you're 40 years old. I mean, really. I can't believe you're 71.
Yeah. So it's a great thing to be doing for lots of reasons. But to answer your question, what keeps me motivated is we love to teach, and I love to see these people succeed, and I love to see what it does to them.
Well, a deal has announced just this week that he's going to run the full 100 at the
Great.
Burning River, and Adam is running 50.
Yeah.
We'll be on a relay. But this is the year I think I'm going to try a 50K. I think I've told you that, Brad.
Yeah, you can talk about doing your first 50K.
Yeah, so I need to get out there with you, Tony.
You guys are good runners. You can run with us. Yeah, no doubt. We'll teach you how to run with us. Take your time, and before you know it, you'll be able to handle 100 miles.
Do you have Band-Aids in case I fall? We had a guy,
No, come on.
remember when K-Dog fell? Tony,
Yeah.
I love this story because this is so you just sitting down talking with you. We have a Wrangler buddy who was running on the trail, and you guys were out that morning. I was pacing Chad Ledley. He was running his first 50K. Just doing a virtual
solo
Boston
race,
the year
yeah.
that he couldn't run Boston.
Was this at the Boston Run up there?
It was.
Days? Yeah,
Yeah, and he skinned his knee, and he ran into Tony. He goes, "Do you guys have Band-Aids?" Tony goes, "Band-Aids? We don't use Band-Aids." I still give.
That's all.
Yeah, I still give him hell about that. That's hilarious. So what's the hard sell for someone who's thinking about making that transition from road to trail? Like, what do you say to that person who's kind of hesitant about making that?
Well, you're hesitant until you try it. So the solution to that is you got to come out and do a run on trails. I really recommend doing it on your own first. I enjoy both. People have pacers in these races and so on, and we run with groups, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. It's for safety. You feel good. You make friends, and you run further than you would, faster than you would on your own. But to be out there on your own in the woods, if you're spiritual, you can derive so much from it. Mm-hmm. So that will teach you to love trails if you go out there on your own and just pay attention to nature. Just enjoy, your environment and so on. You will go home with treasuring your moments, and you will want to go back. Mm-hmm. So you have to go do it. That's really the only way.
Tony, do you have what's your vision for the trail enthusiasts for Burning River? Do you want to see it continue to grow? Do you want more people to run 100-mile races? Is that
Yeah, that's the ultimate goal. Even more than that, do 200 miles or whatever they can handle. Go do 1,000 miles if you can handle it. But this group has way exceeded any expectation. I'd never imagined that they would grow to this point, to this level.
Yeah.
The purpose wasn't that. The purpose was for me and Taylor to learn how to run a 100 miler.
Yeah.
All the things that we needed, to stay out of trouble doing that. And obviously, there was a need for this. And there are a lot of groups in the area that serve different purposes. You can go do speed work with somebody. You can run weeknights during the week with somebody. Mm-hmm. There are people that do weekend runs, shorter distances and so on. But obviously, there was nobody out here that was doing this long stuff that you can train to actually go out there and run a 100 miler with. So there was a market for it, talking in economic terms. So, yeah.
And you said you're the only one in your family that's a runner.
Yeah. My son has run a half marathon in Columbus, and it's sad. My wife tried to run a few times with me, and
She thinks you're crazy.
She did. Now she knows, right?
My wife thinks the same.
Yeah.
I tried to get her to run.
No, my wife is very supportive. Initially she had the full-time adjusting because I'm spending so much time weekends. Because when I come home, I'm pretty useless. I'm so tired. All I have to do is eat and go take a nap and rest.
Yeah.
So it takes away time.
It's better than golfing, Tony.
It is. Yeah, when I had my business, I had lots of salespeople show up and wanted to take me golfing and so on. I told them, I'll go with you if it's speed golf. You have to run from hole to hole. They're not back.
I'm with you on that.
Should we head into the
Rapid fire roundup?
rapid fire roundup? Ready? So
Sure.
Quick answers.
Quick answers,
Yeah.
Tony.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't think too hard about it. And I think you got the first one there.
First one, what are your go-to shoes?
Hawkers. That's fast enough.
That's fast. That's fast.
Yeah. What's your favorite pre-race meal in the morning before you go run?
In the morning, I just have a slice of toast with peanut butter and jelly and a banana, and then leave. Keep the inflammation down.
I think I know the answer to this. Music or no music?
No music.
No music.
Definitely not.
Do you have any favorite running songs that inspire you?
No music.
Nothing.
No, I mean, you're out in nature, man. You're doing yourself a disfavor for, if you're listening to some shit in your ears. There are things out there. There are birds, there are the wind, the moving trees. The trees talk to you.
Yeah, that's your music,
It's
right?
great.
Mother Nature singing to you.
Exactly.
No
Yeah,
music.
Plus you gotta be aware of your environment.
Yes,
you know?
yeah. No music, no band-aids,
Yeah.
definitely.
What's your favorite running spot in Akron?
We go several different places, but they're all kind of short trails. There's Sand Run on Hill Woods, Hampton Hills.
Longest distance.
I think one of the 100 miles turned out to be about almost 103 miles. That's it. Never found any reason to go any longer than that. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite race?
Well, obviously the Burning River.
Yeah.
We train for that and so on. By the way, we really not affiliated with Burning River at all. That's a Western Reserve race. We have nothing to do with it. We just picked the Burning River just because it was a nice place to end up, with the training.
Right. Yeah, and it's a local long-distance
Exactly.
trail race, right?
But a lot of people do the Mohican 100. I did the 50 mile there 3 times, and so the training brings us to do several of these 100 miles around here in the summer.
Favorite sports movie, a movie that gets you really pumped up?
I don't need any of that.
Nothing?
No.
Rocky.
Our motivation is it's to be found in our group. We have some beasts in our group, some animals that do some amazing stuff. And,
So you don't need fiction.
No, we have so many inspiring people in the group. I mean, I'm one of them, but we have a lot of people that do a lot of crazy shit and other yeah, and they're great. That's all you need to do. And I popularize it. I purposely put it on Facebook and recognize the achievements of these people, and all the other runners get to see that. And,
Yeah.
They buy into it.
I read through those posts. It's
Yeah.
inspiring. It is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really worked well. You recognize people's achievements and inspire the rest of the runners, and
Yep.
they go for it. It's great, and it works. They succeed. Yeah.
All right, and then last question, Tony. Who's your favorite Wrangler?
I'm like a middle. I don't know most of you guys. I see your posts.
A deal?
You can say a deal.
You could say a deal.
Adil and
Everyone loves a deal.
and Adam.
And Adam.
Yeah, they're the ones that run with us, so I know them better than
Those
everybody else.
bastards. They always get the spotlight.
Well, the opportunity's open to you guys too, so just show up.
That's gonna be my summer commitment, at least once a week. Yeah. Yeah.
You can do it Sunday to start with. Those are our shorter ones.
Yeah.
See what you think.
Yeah, we have a Wrangler run on Sunday morning that Pat Patterson has put together. But Saturday is usually a long run for me. So yeah, as soon as my track season's over, we have 3 more weeks of track and field. We got you a Wrangler goodie bag, Anthony.
Uh-oh.
Tony,
You got some,
you got the flames on there. Yeah.
You got some weed and feed in here.
Go ahead, Tony, see what's in there, buddy.
All right, winning glasses.
No.
Pizza rolls, Tortinos.
That's good offering.
That's a shameless plug for my 5K race.
Here's a membership to the Wranglers.
You can share that with your trail
It's free,
enthusiasts.
yeah.
They can take a break from the trail that day and run.
Mountain Dew. Yeah. Ultra runners love these. I drink a lot of ginger ale.
Do you?
Oh yeah, you have to, so you don't get sick.
That's for you.
Wranglers. Thank you very much,
Your
guys.
fridge, yeah. And that's a glove. We found it. On the Polsky parking deck. But you got to dress for the weather out there on the trails, so at least
Yep.
one hand will be warm.
Yeah, that's something else you'll learn.
Tony, we enjoyed this, man. Really, you're inspiring. We've been wanting to get you on here for a long time. I know you inspire not just the trail community, but the running community in general. So,
Well, kind of inspire each other, man. We have some outstanding runners in our group, so I admire a lot of them.
Well, thanks for taking the time to come on the show.
Yeah,
And
thanks
tell us
for
about
having
it
me.
too.
Yeah.
Sharing your story. Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Brad, do we have a guest next month?
Yeah, I think next month we're going to have Jim Chaney from Run to You
okay.
Racing, and he directs the Kent Hall of Fame Marathon. We're going to give him all the hard-hitting journalistic questions that
You'd expect on the Wrangler Roundup. Yeah, we can't wait to have Jim
I'll
on.
give you a plug too, you know, kind of guard.
Did I last for life?